Hello, Rebels of the Sherpa. Normally, I start off this podcast by saying hi, but I'm going to start this one off by saying hydration. We know how important hydration is for our bodies. It's the thing that keeps us running, right? You want to be a well-oiled machine. You want to be running efficiently. You know what can help you run efficiently? Liquid IV. It is the category-winning hydration brand fueling your well-being. And their hydration multiplier is the one product that you are missing in your daily routine. It comes in a little stick that's a powder. And in just one stick, you get 5 essential vitamins and 2 times faster hydration than water alone. If you use it first thing in the morning, maybe before a workout, when you feel run down, maybe after a long night out and doing a little partying, you know what I mean? And what if you have like a long flight or something like that and you just, bleh, right? We all feel that way, bleh. So add this to your water, and that packaging can go with you anywhere you go, even if you're going to the gym or you're traveling or you're at work. And maybe you didn't have a great breakfast. At least it's something that will fuel you up in the morning. And there's a whole bunch of flavors that are available, like sea berry, strawberry lemonade, Concord grape, lemon, pina colada, tropical punch, watermelon, strawberry, passion fruit, guava, acai berry. Did I say that right? I never know how to say that. But those are just some of the flavors. Here's some statistics for you folks. 1 stick of liquid IV in 16 ounces of water contains 5 essential vitamins: B3, B5, B6, B12, and even vitamin C. And we all know how important those B vitamins are. It's got 3 times the electrolytes of traditional sports drinks. It's made with premium ingredients. It's non-GMO, and it is free from gluten, dairy, and soy. I'm going to offer you a great deal, Rebels. If you go to liquidiv.com and use offer code SHERPA, you can get 20% off of anything that you order on that site when you're shopping for some better hydration. So that's Liquid IV. Check it out at liquidiv.com. Podcast that you're listening to is being presented to you in cooperation with the SJ Network. If you're a person who'd like to appear on a podcast, contact Stephen Joyner at s-j-network.com. Let's get on with the show.
This is the $1 million episode of Too Many Podcasts. I honestly have no idea why we are calling it that, since the Sherpa still pays me in paper clips. But welcome to the show, where you'll hear about what's going on with the show, along with a new edition of Sherpa Samples. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to earn my paper clips and strike this gong.
Welcome to Too Many Podcasts, the podcast about podcasts. Now, podcasting from the Sherpa Chalet on Mount Podcastia, here's your host, Jim, the Podcast Sherpa.
Hello there, Rebels of the Sherpa. Welcome to Too Many Podcasts. It is the podcast about podcasts and so much more. Jim, the Podcast Sherpa, coming to you from Sherpa Studios, high atop Mount Podcastia. Of course, where else would I be? And if you are listening to this upon its release, you will know that it is the week of Thanksgiving in the United States and also in Mount Podcastia as well, coincidentally. I know you Canadians, you celebrated it last month. You guys are so fast, you know? That's probably why they're good at hockey. I think that's my only explanation. But what do I know about hockey? Anyway, this is a short solo episode. Just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of an update of the state of the podcast, I guess, for lack of a better word. And of course, we will do some Sherpa samples in just a few. So I know if you've been wondering, what has he been listening to? We will find out very shortly. So what is going on with the podcast? This is an unusual way to start it, but I'm going to tell you where you cannot hear us. I know some of you may have specific listening devices that you might want to hear us on, or websites or apps. So if you were looking to hear this podcast, well, you're probably hearing it now. But if you're on these other ones, then you won't find me. We're no longer on the Helium radio network, which was an internet radio station. I don't really know what happened with that. One day I was on it, and then the next week I was not. So I've been replaced. Yeah, good luck replacing me. And also, as you know, we are no longer on the Stitcher app because the Stitcher app is no longer. And coming next year, if you are a listener on Google Podcasts will be going away as well, and that will become YouTube Music, which is technically already out. And there are a good portion of my shows on there already, but as far as subscribing, it would probably switch you over there. That is what I'm presuming. And as you know, we also have a YouTube channel, which is Sherpalution, of course. And the address for that is at Sherpalution5000, where you can find all of our recent shows. And I've been putting a lot of older shows on there as well, the ones that I really thought that you listeners would enjoy, or maybe some that didn't get enough listens and maybe kind of deserved a second chance to be singled out a little bit. And also earlier this season, I did an episode that hyped my appearance on an app called AMP. And it really didn't have much to do with the podcast, personally, but I was given the opportunity to play a lot of 80s music. That was the format that I chose anyway. And unfortunately, that app is no longer there either. So if you see any old show notes that have the AMP app listed, just disregard it. So there won't be anything there, and I don't believe there'll be an app to download. But hopefully, I would like to do something like that in the near future, get to play some 80s music, because I am an 80s music nerd. And it was a lot of fun while it lasted, I guess. And hopefully I'd get a little more listeners too, and also listeners as well on this podcast. Listening-wise, as I'm recording this, we are approaching 20,000 downloads. And since it is the week of Thanksgiving and you're supposed to be thankful for things, I'm thankful that I've had people that want to check out the podcast from all around the world and put it in the charts. And hopefully you are enjoying what you're hearing. And of course, I always keep my invitation open to all of you listeners to reach out to me on social media, Sherpalution, of course, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. And let me know what you think. Be constructive, please. If you've got questions, please don't be afraid to ask them. Also, if you have really lengthy questions, especially if they're about podcasts or podcasting, one thing that I'm still doing is speaking on the Wisdom app on Wednesday nights, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I'm normally there. Sometimes I'm not. It depends on how tired I am, because sometimes I'm falling asleep during my own speech. If I can put myself to sleep, I can imagine what I'm doing for you guys. So that option is there if you'd like to have a lengthy discussion on podcasts and podcasting. And coming up, we've got Sherpa Samples. And you know what the rule is with Sherpa Samples, don't you? You don't? Okay. Well, have a listen and let's dive into Sherpa Samples.
Now it's time for Sherpa Samples. If you've got a podcast you'd like us to sample, contact us and we'll mention your name on the show.
That's right, Rebels. It is time once again for Sherpa Samples. And what is Sherpa Samples? For those of you who've never listened before, I'll tell you right now. This is the portion of the show where I get to do my little deep dive into the charts and mountains of Podcastia and check out all the podcasts that are on the charts. And maybe some that aren't on the charts. But I've been going up and down the charts. I'm actually getting pretty close to the bottom of one of the charts, believe it or not, because I've covered all the other ones. So I've got 10 more for you that maybe you might want to check out. So let's talk a little bit about them. I know that true crime podcasts are very popular, but now I seem to see a little bit of a rise in medical mystery podcasts. And the two that I got to check out were Symptomatic-A medical mystery podcast, and a name that might sound familiar to some of you listeners, Mr. Ballen's Medical Mysteries. And Mr. Ballen usually does a lot of true crime and scary stories, but now he's diving into some of the medical mysteries. And the episode that I listened to was about human spontaneous combustion. Oop, let's hope that doesn't happen here in the studio. I mean, I had a little chilly, but you want to be careful. Also, probably the award for the most self-explanatory podcast title, LeVar Burton Reads. There you go. He's going through some stories that you may or may not know and just reading them. And it's a reading podcast. Really great stuff. I enjoyed the presentation that he did and the little insights that he offers at the end of the story. Someone Knows Something has to do with the disappearance of an Indigenous woman in Canada, and it goes into conversations with some of the people who knew the victim. Security Now is a 2-hour discussion about computer security, and they take a lot of questions and they discuss a lot of issues in the tech world. It's pretty technical. It was kind of hard for me to follow, but if you are a tech head and you want to know the latest in computer and online security, this is a podcast that you may want to check out. The Blindboy Podcast is an interesting podcast that has a lot of different stories about different items. The Blind Boy, I don't think he's actually blind. He's actually an Irish comedian, and he wears a plastic bag over his head. But hey, whatever works for you. And this was interesting. In the course of the podcast, he connected actress Drew Barrymore to pumpkin spice. You got to listen to the episode to believe it. Interesting stuff, though. Definitely a unique type of podcast. The Rachel Maddow Show. Rachel Maddow is an anchor on, I believe, MSNBC. And, of course, her take on the stories of the day. Unrestorable is the true story of a woman who murdered 2 of her children and about her competency to stand trial in the murder case. It's very disturbing and very dark, but it's really an interesting story. If you like disturbing and dark, this is a podcast that you may want to have a listen to. The Riddler, Secrets in the Dark, is a Spotify exclusive, and it is an audio drama, of course, and some pretty cool stuff going on there. And I guess it's the backstory of the Riddler if you are a fan of the Batman series. Let me see if I can do that Riddler impression that my friend used to do of Frank Gorshin going, he had that kind of laugh like that. I don't know. And lastly, The Wedding Scammer. Wedding Scammer is the story of a reporter who's in pursuit of a con artist who first ran an online magazine and saw to it that none of the employees got paid, and then as a wedding planner who took people's money and mysteriously vanished. And the reporter pursues this con man with the assistance of 2 women who were also scammed by this guy. So do they find him? I don't know. It's a limited series. We hope they find him. I guess you're probably hoping that we are going into the outro right now. And guess what? We are.
Be a rebel. Follow the show at Sherpolution on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
So those are your Sherpa Samples for the week. And, I'm always listening to podcasts all the time, checking everything out on the charts. And there will be more and more episodes. I would like to do a count of how many episodes I at least sampled. I'm guessing well over 200, maybe between 200 and 300 if I were to venture a guess. And we will be back next week, of course, with another episode of, Too Many Podcasts or the Sherpa Screening Room. I guess we will find out soon enough. And you can hear the show on podcast apps everywhere, well, except the ones that we were talking about at the beginning of the show, or on Sherpolution.com if you don't like podcast apps, or the Sherpolution YouTube page, which is starting to pick up a little bit of steam. And don't forget, if you like what you're hearing, don't forget you can enter our contest and just leave us a nice review on Apple Podcasts and let me know, and then you can be entered to win podcast merchandise. Yeah, I know I haven't talked about it in a while, but yeah, that contest is still going on. We want some more reviews. We want more. Don't be afraid. Just get on there and just say a few nice words. You know what? That actually brings up another point. There have been people who've been leaving little comments, mostly on the YouTube page, or someone left a comment on TikTok the other day. And it's like, be constructive. You don't have to be mean. If you don't like the podcast, that's okay. I understand it. This show may not be everybody's cup of tea, and I can live with that. But, to dissuade other people from listening to it, give them the opportunity to listen to it. I listen to different podcasts to tell you about them, not because I think you're going to like this one and not like that one. You're going to like what you like to listen to. So I hope you get to enjoy those podcasts that I talk about, and I hope you enjoy this podcast as well. It's funny, initially, I was actually going to do only 100 episodes, and after this season, we will be on our 300th episode. So, and that's largely thanks to folks who took the time out and listened and hopefully spread the word. And like I said, got the show on the charts here and there all throughout the land. And I forgot what I was going to say. But I appreciate that again. So also, when we hit our 300th episode, which will be, I think, in about a month, 2 months, we will be doing Sherpa Selects. We will be bringing that back again. It'll be some of your favorite episodes. So if there was an episode that you may have caught that's one of the older ones, I know lots of people have been listening to the older ones, and they're a lot more popular than my newer ones for whatever reason, and that's fine. I'm glad that you enjoy them. Just drop me a line on social media, or you can email me at jimthepodcastsherpa@gmail.com. And if there's a show you'd like me to replay for a Saturday, I will gladly do that for you. And of course, your name will get mentioned on the show. It's that easy. Thank you very much. And I guess that will do it for me, Mr. Bruce. It's time to head on out of here. See, you get to have an early lunch now. So, for those of you who are celebrating Thanksgiving this week, if you are listening to it on Thanksgiving, have a happy Thanksgiving and enjoy your meal. Be thankful for who you are, where you are, and what you do. Hopefully, bring more peace to the world. Till then, viva la Sherpalution.
Thanks for listening to Too Many Podcasts. Please disperse. You can go home now. I said you can go home now. Viva la Sherpalution. Viva la Sherpalution. Oh. Yeah, I'll come back now, you hear?
You know, Rebels, if you've been checking out some of my promotional ads on social media, you will be aware that I have been using a lot of AI programs to help me create ads. But you know what? There's a lot more uses for AI than just funny little videos. And I'd like to introduce one of our new sponsors, Podium. It is a leader in creating AI tools for podcasters. Now, let's say you've got a podcast, or maybe you're even thinking of doing a podcast. You're probably wondering, well, how can AI be integrated with your workflow? I'll tell you about Podium. As a podcaster, you know that writing show notes and creating chapters and transcribing episodes takes a lot of time, and it can cost you a lot of money too. But you know what? That's where Podium comes in. It's an AI tool designed specifically for creators and podcasters, with the goal of making post-production tasks quick and easy. And in just a few minutes, Podium generates show notes, chapters, summaries, clips for social media, a full transcript, suggested episode titles, social media posts, and more. Ooh, that's a lot of work for one little program. Your show notes are key to your podcast's success because it helps new listeners find your podcast and they'll know if it's a fit for them. You know, kind of like Too Many Podcasts. It also improves your SEO, that's your search engine optimization. Ooh, big phrase there. And overall accessibility. And with Podium, you can focus on creating a great podcast and let Podium's AI do the heavy lifting. But Podium isn't just for solo creators and podcasters. It's a game changer for editors, producers, marketers, agencies, and production studios. Teams that use Podiums are able to increase workloads, decrease turnaround times, and improve their quality. How does it work? Very easy. First, go to Podium's website, and you'll see that link that's right there in the show notes. You get 3 hours free just to try it. Pretty cool, huh? And using that link also supports this show as well. And you know what else happens? Because I'm a good guy. You use my link, you will get 50% off for your first month. So visit the site, upload an MP3 file, and download your files. And that's it. And if you need anything else, you can use Podium GPT to generate articles and any marketing copy you might need in seconds. Instant show notes, transcripts, chapters for your podcast or channel. This will level up that podcast. So check out Podium today.
Before I forget, to find your true soulmate, leave a nice review of this podcast on Apple Podcasts. The third person who is crazy enough to agree with you has probably already met them.